Most people spend more time researching a television set than they do in hiring the right private investigator. Today we're going to be talking about the 12 questions you should ask before trusting someone with your case, your money, and sometimes your future. Hi, I'm Tim Farrow with Advanced Protective Services, and welcome to Tidbit Tuesday. In our previous episodes, we discussed licensing, insurance, experience, pricing, and professionalism. Today we're going to bring it all together and discuss 12 important questions you should be asking before hiring any private investigator. The first question is, are you properly licensed? Ask whether the investigator and their company are properly licensed and authorized to conduct investigations in your state. A professional investigator should have no problem in explaining and showing and documenting their license and their licensing status, and they should have no trouble in showing you or telling you how to verify it. Are you properly insured? Ask whether they have proper insurance coverage. Ask them to show proof of coverage. Is the coverage the appropriate amount for the case that you're asking them to investigate? The insurance is there to protect them, but it's also there to protect you in the event that something goes wrong. Another question is, have you handled cases like mine before? Experience matters, but relevant experience matters more. A custody investigation is different than a fraud investigation. A fraud investigation is different than a missing person case. Ask whether they've successfully handled cases like yours before. Now, another question is, will you personally be handling my case? Many clients assume that the person they're speaking with will be the one handling or conducting their investigation. That's not always the case. You might be talking with a sales representative, a senior investigator, and sometimes maybe even the business owner. Ask who's actually going to be working on my case, and if they have the experience to do so. Another question would be, how would you approach my case? A professional investigator should be able to explain the general strategies and processes used to handle your type of case. You don't need to know every detail, but you should have a basic understanding of how they plan to approach your particular situation. Another question could be, how do you communicate with the clients? Ask how they would or how you would receive updates or information and how that's going to be provided. Would it be by a phone call, an email, written reports, or scheduled updates? You want to set those expectations early so that there's no misunderstandings later. Another one would be, how is your work documented? Ask whether you're going to receive reports or photographs or videos or other supporting documentation. Remember, if it's not documented, you might not be able to use it later in mediations or other type of proceedings. Another question could be, well, what can I realistically expect? This is one of the most important questions you can ask. A professional investigator should be honest about the strengths, the limitations, the risks, and the possible outcomes of your case. Be cautious of guarantees. Good investigators or professional investigators, they don't promise results. Another question would be, how are you going to bill me? Don't stop with just the hourly rate. Remember, there could be additional expenses involved, like mileage, transportation costs, equipment expenses, and other type fees. You want to make sure that you fully understand what you're going to be billed for. A good investigator should be able to explain not only what they charge, but why they charge it. Another question would be, have you ever been disciplined by the licensing authority? Now, this may feel a bit uncomfortable and an awkward question, but it's a fair one. The answer isn't always the important part. How the investigator responds or explains the situation or the situation they were involved in tells you a little bit more about them, and transparency matters. Another question is, why should I hire you? This is one of my favorite questions. Why should I hire you? A professional investigator should be able to clearly explain their qualifications, their experience, and their professionalism, and what makes them the right fit for your particular case. If the question revolves entirely around the cheapest option, then you might want to kind of avoid that investigator. Another question is, should my attorney be involved? This question, most people don't even think about asking, particularly if litigation is involved. It may be beneficial for the investigator to work through the legal counsel rather than directly through the client. Ask whether there may be advantages to having the attorney retain the investigator. A good investigator doesn't just think about finding information, they think about how the information is going to be used how it's going to protect the client, and how it's going to be presented. At the end of the day, you're not just hiring the investigator, you're hiring their judgment, their experience, and their professionalism, and their trust. The better the questions you ask, the better your chance of hiring the right investigator for your case. Investigations are really about patterns. Patterns of time, patterns of money, and patterns of behaviors. And if you follow those patterns long enough, they'll usually take you to exactly where the truth is hiding. Thank you, and we'll see you next Tuesday.